DPDP Act. The Digital Personal Data Protection Act, 2023. The Digital Personal Data Protection Act, 2023, DPDP Act, is a significant piece of legislation introduced in India aimed at regulating how personal data is collected, processed, and stored. The Act is designed to protect individuals' digital privacy and ensure that organizations handling personal data do so in a transparent and accountable manner. It is India's first comprehensive data protection law and addresses the growing concerns around personal data security, privacy, and user rights in the digital world. Key features of the DPDP Act. 1. Definition of personal data. 1. The Act defines personal data as any information relating to an individual that can directly or indirectly identify them. 1. This includes name, address, contact details, biometric data, etc. 2. Sensitive personal data. The law also specifies categories of sensitive personal data, such as financial data, health information, and genetic data, which require more stringent protection. 2. Data principal and data fiduciary. 1. Data principal. The individual whose personal data is collected, processed, and stored. 2. Data fiduciary. The entity, individual or organization, that collects, processes, or stores the data of individuals, data principals. 2. They are responsible for ensuring the security and lawful use of personal data. 3. Data processing consent. 1. The Act mandates that personal data must be processed only with the explicit consent of the data principal. 2. Consent must be informed, clear, and specific, and individuals must have the option to withdraw consent at any time. 3. Data fiduciaries must ensure that the data is not retained longer than necessary for the purpose for which it was collected. 4. Rights of data principals. The DPDP Act provides the following rights to individuals, data principals. 1. Right to access. Individuals can request access to their personal data and know how it is being processed. 2. Right to correction. Individuals can correct inaccurate or incomplete data. 3. Right to erasure. Also known as the right to be forgotten. Individuals can request the deletion of their personal data under certain conditions. 4. Right to data portability. Data principals can transfer their personal data from one service provider to another. 5. Right to object. Individuals can object to the processing of their personal data, especially when it is processed for commercial purposes. 5. Data protection obligations for data fiduciaries. 1. Data fiduciaries must ensure that the data they collect is processed transparently and securely. 2. They are required to implement data protection measures, including security safeguards, encryption, and regular audits. 3. Data fiduciaries must also notify the government and data principals in case of a data breach that compromises personal data. 6. Data localization. 1. The DPDP Act mandates that critical personal data should be stored and processed within India. 1. Certain data can be transferred to other countries, but this is subject to the approval of the government. 2. The government will classify the types of data that are critical for national security or public interest. 7. Regulatory authority. Data Protection Board of India. 1. The Act establishes the Data Protection Board of India, DPB, an independent body that will handle complaints related to violations of the DPDP Act. 2. The DPB has the authority to impose penalties on organizations that violate the provisions of the law. 8. Penalties and fines. 1. The DPDP Act provides for significant penalties for non-compliance. 1. If data fiduciaries fail to protect data or do not comply with the regulations, they may face fines ranging from 5 crore rupees to 500 crore rupees, depending on the nature and severity of the violation. 2. For example, failing to take adequate measures for the protection of data or processing personal data without proper consent can result in hefty fines. 9. Exemptions. 1. Certain exemptions are provided under the Act, including national security, law enforcement, and public interest matters may exempt certain provisions of the Act. Data processing activities related to journalistic purposes or research are also exempt, under specific conditions. 10. Cross-border data transfers. 1. Personal data can be transferred outside India to countries with adequate data protection laws. 2. For other countries, the Indian government may impose additional conditions and may approve the transfer based on its assessment of the data protection standards in that country. Importance and impact of the DPDP Act. 1. Protecting digital privacy. With increasing reliance on digital platforms, personal data is constantly being shared and processed. 1. The DPDP Act aims to safeguard individuals' privacy and control over their personal data in the digital world. 2. Enhancing data security. The law strengthens the security framework for data protection by imposing stricter obligations on organizations handling personal data. 3. Compliance with international standards. The Act aligns with global data protection frameworks like the General Data Protection Regulation, GDPR, in Europe, making India a more attractive destination for foreign businesses. 4. Building trust. By establishing robust data protection practices, the Act helps build trust between businesses and consumers, encouraging people to engage with digital platforms without fearing misuse of their data. 5. Economic growth and innovation. Clear regulations on data privacy can promote innovation in sectors like technology, fintech, and e-commerce, as companies will have a clear understanding of data protection requirements. Conclusion: the Digital Personal Data Protection Act, 2023, marks a critical step towards securing personal data in India and ensuring privacy in an increasingly digital world. By holding organizations accountable and providing individuals with rights over their data, it aims to create a balanced and transparent approach to data privacy and security. The DPDP Act will play a vital role in enhancing trust in India's digital ecosystem and ensuring that personal data is handled responsibly and securely.